Good evening, everyone. This is the Black Post. This afternoon, this evening, the message will be sent. No matter if you love it, no matter if you hate it, the message will be sent. So it looks like Joe Biden's going to win the presidency. Him and Kamala Harris, the African/Indian American that everybody would like to justify her as being the first Black VP in history. I'm not here to argue or to get into a debate about her race. We understand that her mom was Indian and her father was Jamaican, which makes her partially African, but not her mindset. See, we have to understand as foundational Black Americans that there is an agenda. There is a code that we live by. And I'm realizing that a lot of you are getting on code. And I'm here just to go over a few of the things that the code actually entails. Reparations on all the accounts, 360 reparations. Justice. When we talk about police reform, education reform, I am talking about a total reconstruction of police, wiping away implied immunity, which then takes away that insurance that they have. I like what Dick Gregory said, that the police need their own personal insurance, and that is when they'll stop killing Black people. The Black Code, the Black agenda for foundational Black Americans. No more benign neglect for Black Americans. No tangibles, no vote. See, family, we understand that the reason why Joe Biden has won this election is because those Black Democratic shills have fear-mongered their own people for a pat on the head, for a position in the Democratic Party. See, I've been telling people this for a very long time. My very first video was the Black Boule. Those are the 1%ers that will like to keep us as sheeple as can be. They would like to keep us poverty-stricken so they can be the Black hopefuls. This is what we're up against. This is what we're up against. So again, the code, the agenda does not change. It does not metamorphosize. We stay on code regardless of who's in office. The code has always been tangibles. The code has always been cut the check. And some of you may be questioning yourself, well, what is FBA? What is foundational Black Americans? Well, foundational Black Americans are also American Descendant of Slavery. But there's two organizations, there's two movements, there's two sides of this story. You have foundational Black Americans, AKA the Black media that involves with Tariq Nasheed, the Black Authority, Professor of Black Truth, Dr. Boyce Watkins, TD Hip Hop Media in the African Diaspora channel. But then you have Tone Talks, who talks about the American Descendant of Slaves. Well, I visited his channel. I listened to some of his things that he said. Family, do not be led astray. The two movements are not the same. Even though they bear some of the same fruit, I assure you they're not the same. Do not be led astray. If given a choice between overthrowing a brutal system of oppression entirely or settling for an oppressor who's still brutal but doesn't insult you quite so much, most people would choose the latter and call it progress. Oppression always requires some degree of complicity. See, this election wasn't about politics. It was about overt racism versus subtle racism. Because we understand that we are okay with Joe Biden's racism, because if you don't vote for me, you aren't Black. Or as he said, you ain't Black. He had to relate to us as, African/Black Americans. So we like the subtle racism. We love when all the white supremacists does things behind closed doors. So we don't want the overt racism. We want the subtle racism. See, I was perfectly fine with Trump treating other non-Black groups like America has treated Black people. Can I say that again, family? I was perfectly fine with Trump treating other non-Black groups like America has treated Black people. There's a long history of 500 years the way white supremacists in this world have treated melanated people. And there's a long history in this country, over 200 something years, how white supremacy in this country have treated melanated people. You tell me when Hispanics have been burned and hung solely because of the color of their skin. Tell me when Asian Americans live under the rule and laws of Jim Crow. Please tell me, family, when have you seen it? Tell me when East Indians have been discriminated upon and they almost the same shade as us. This election cycle exposed how many of the Black leadership, quote unquote, class are willing to leave us at the bottom of every American social economic metric as long as they keep their damn jobs. They would rather sell out their own people for a position, for a fucking job. A friend of mine said that not even 90% of people are on code. 90% of Black people aren't on code. And I keep telling them, it's not that we need 90%. We only need 20 to 30%. There's an understanding in the Black community that we've always been Democrat. I tell people I'm non-political because I don't believe that Black people should be political. We've always been the stepchildren. We've always been the people who've been marginalized. Why should we choose one political party over the other? And this is what our brother Ice Cube was trying to convey to us, trying to do for us. Did you know yesterday Ice Cube let out a tweet and basically said he's done with it all? He is absolutely done with it all. He is no longer going to fight for a group of people who tries to stab him in the back when he is trying to give them tangibles. When he is trying to single-handedly with his capita and his income decrease the wealth gap by having either one of the two political parties do something that results in Black people winning. But no, our Democratic shills, our Sambos, our puppets for the Democratic Party shamed and bashed Ice Cube all on his Twitter page. Now, I say to Ice Cube, my brother, please continue the good fight. We need you in this fight. I did a video thanking Ice Cube for his contribution to this cause. And I don't know that Ice Cube actually knew the extent of what was going to occur, but he had to know that there was going to be some backlash because there are a lot of sellouts. See, they would like to call Ice Cube a sellout, but I don't call a sellout who's willing to deal with any white supremacist that will do something for Black people. See, family, we have to understand. I want justice and liberation for my people, past, present, and future. That's American Descendant of Slaves and foundational Black Americans, which are one people. That means that if you can backtrack your lineage, probably back to the 1870s census, then you are foundational Black American. Now, we have some writers, we have some people on code who are from the Caribbean. We have to understand that Stokely Carmichael was from the Caribbean. Marcus Garvey was from the Caribbean, but they were on code. So even though there's a lot of coons, there's a lot of Sambos, there's a lot of bedwench, there's a lot of mammies from the Caribbean and the continent of Africa, but we also have writers on our side who support us that come from some of those African countries and come from some of those Caribbean countries. But the problem is that they have more coons and Sambos than they have writers. Or at least those are the ones who are showing their fecal colors online. I've seen a lot lately, and it's bothered me because I believe that not all Black people are going to get on code, but we need more people to understand this movement, this empowerment. They did this before the election, but the boomers, the boule, and scared Negroes held on the muffler. See, this is what happens. Every election term, maybe a year or two before re-election, the Democrats let us ride with them. Have you noticed that, family? We ride with them. They let us in the front seat. They don't let us drive. They let us in the front seat. We can kind of like mention, hey, make a turn here, make a left here. But right after the election, we have to hold on to the muffler to go somewhere. That means we're getting kicked out of the car. We have to understand because the Negro pen, listen to what I'm saying, family, the Negro pen is politically uneducated, faced with tears of joy, and everyone else knows how to vote self-interest. The Negro pen. See, someone asked Ice Cube, and I agree. They said, are you for the lion or the wolf? And Ice Cube said, neither. I'm for the sheeple. Family, look up sheeple. SHEEPLE. Family, we have to understand what these things mean because we understand that sheeple are compared to sheep in being docile, foolish, and easily led. Did you hear me, family? What sheeple means? Being compared to as sheep, being docile, foolish, and easily led. The only thing somebody had to tell you that Donald Trump was racist. All the while, Joe Biden is the racist one who did all the policies. Now, both of them are white supremacists. Both of them are racist. But I want you to ask yourself this question. Did Donald Trump make any policies or laws that affected Black people? Not at all. Now ask yourself that exact same question. Did Joe Biden? Well, he was a part of three of them. The 1986 anti-drug bill, the 1994 crime bill, and also part of the three-strike law, which a lot of foundational Black Americans went to jail for stealing a t-shirt, for jaywalking. These are some of the petty crimes that, because it was the third strike, they went to jail for their entire life sentence. We still have a lot of work to do. See, you can't undo 500 years of post-traumatic slave disorder in 10 years. At least 50% of Black people will have to be written off. We never counted on those anyway. We are moving the needle, but we have to be relentless in order to win. See, they made Trump the face of white supremacy and trickled gullible sheeple into believing voting him out of office ends racism. Ladies and gentlemen, voting Donald Trump out of office does not end racism. I want to ask those who supported Joe Biden, because I don't care who won, but here's the question. What now? Now that you have a bigot and a racist out of office and replaced with another bigot and racist, what now? Is he now going to meet with Cube about his contract with Black America? The female Black vote that he's so hard and catered to split and divide Black women and Black men. But you know he has the LGBT community in his pocket. This is what you're going to see, family. You're going to see a lot of immigration laws being passed. You're going to see a lot of LGBT equality rights being passed. Because what the Democratic Party understands is that if we increase immigration policies to nationalize illegal immigrants to becoming legal and naturalized citizens, then we solely don't need the Black vote. But who won the election for the Democratic Party? The Black vote. Because even though the population of America is 16, 17% Hispanic, there's only 30 million eligible Hispanic voters. The population in the Black community is 13.4%, and we have 40 million Black Americans. See, the Democratic Party did enough pandering. They padded some pockets. They had some people who just was riding the wave of white supremacy to support their cause in getting Donald Trump out of office. See, family, I really didn't care, but I'm okay with the enemy I know versus the enemy I don't know. But remind me one more time. I know what Biden and Harris promised gays: Equality Act, illegals, dreamers, and amnesty to replace the Black vote. Women and Native Americans, exactly what did they promise to do for Black people that makes them worthy of the Black vote? That's the question. If you go on Joe Biden's website, he tells you what he does for Jews. He tells you what he does for Native Americans. He tells you what he does for Latinos. But in his Lift Every Voice plan, and I've been seeing Democrats all over Twitter, all over Facebook, saying that Donald Trump Platinum Plan had no tangibles for Black Americans. That's true, but neither did Joe Biden. Well, he had 22 pages of bullshit. That is what it is. There is a large amount of Black folks that enjoy being doormats. And on cue, the orgy of fake praise for how great Black voters are, sisters in this case, unfortunately, for voting. I read a ton of these articles so far, and I'm still trying to find even one that says a word about what Black women will get. Because we can really say that Black women won this election for the Democratic Party, but I haven't seen nothing what Black women will get. Because I believe it's dangerous when writers put on propaganda that totally ignores how Kamala Harris has spent 25 years of persecuting Black people. None of these Black feminists said a word about it. Have you noticed that? They haven't said a word about it. They've been attacking Black men from the very start because we understand the Democratic Party has had them on a puppet string and been playing the fiddle all the while. None of these Black feminists said a word about it. And if and when, but we know she they're going to win. Becomes the vice president of these United States of white supremacy, they'll ignore black women suffering under hers then too. But well, I'm sure that the top cop Kamala Harris will come to black people's rescue the same way she did for black folks in California. I'm just kidding. See, maybe after she lets a bunch of black people get killed, we might pressure her to setting up a white supremacist study committee. Because if we're going to set up a study committee for reparations, if we want to set up a study committee for police brutality, why not a white supremacist study committee? So we can just study white supremacy. Why do we have to study something we've already been experiencing for the last 250 years in this country, in over 500 years, living in a nationwide, a countrywide, a worldwide system of white supremacy? I also have been reading a lot of articles praising Stacey Abrams. And I'm like, since she supposedly gotten black people in Georgia to vote, is she also advocating for tangibles and reparations? Or did she just play black people once again? We know the answer to that, family. Most likely she did. But I'm just hoping that the same black women that saved the democracy, that their energy is applied after Joe spends most of his term telling black people how he's trying to undo the racism of Donald Trump. And it's going to take time. The same way they claim to be the backbone of the hood until the hood went belly up. We have to understand, family, that Jim Crow Joe and Kamala Top Cop Harrison will do nothing for black people. We have to come to that realization, whether you like it or not. See, black women hoping for positions with Kamala will be relegated to getting coffee and answering phones. They will be delegated to that. Because we understand why white women and Indian women will get their prominent positions. I bullshit you not. Now, to prove the black media wrong, I know what she's going to do, family. She's going to at least let one black politician, female, to get a high position. But I want you to look at all the other high positions in the cabinet. When you point out that both Biden and Trump are both bigots and both have records of anti-black racism going back decades, if someone tells you, well, one of them's going to win, so you got to choose one. You got to choose the lesser of two evils. You got to choose the cup of poison that's not as potent as the other or doesn't seem as much. Your answer to that is always this: you would rather be free. Foundational Black Americans Code, reparations and the different strategies within. Black businesses, Black business owners, decreasing the wealth gap, funding and resources for our communities and schools and community centers. Not police reform, police punishment. What the hell is police reform? What the hell is sensitivity training? Tell me. I'm still trying to figure it out. Oh, well, you know, those black people over there in the hood, they're not as bad as you think they are. In this fight for reparations, because it's a fight, family, and we have to be relentless. We have to continue to build. We have to continue to uplift our communities. We have to continue to fight white supremacy. We have to continue to fight oppression. We have to do all these things while still trying to live. See, we are known survivors and we get stuck in that. But not only should we survive, but we should also strive. We should also thrive. Now, folks supporting Biden and Kamala have one consistent characteristic. They do not support a black agenda. Have you noticed that? Those who support Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they have one characteristic. They do not support a black agenda. I've been speaking with buddies that I've been knowing for over 10 years. And I won't say they disappoint me. Some of them are just uninformed. Some of them are just not educated. But even those who know that they're not doing anything specifically for black people, and they know our history, they know what we've been through, they know what these so-called immigrants and people of color and minorities have not been through, but they still support the Democratic Party because they believe it's their civic duty to vote. Bullshit. Whose side are you on? Whose side are you on? See, family, that's the problem. We have people picking out, oh, I want better education. Oh, I want better health care. For who? Where is this money going to? See, what we need to understand that these political parties, they go to their base and they tell their base what they're going to do. When have the Democratic Party came to black people and said, we're going to do this for you, vote for us? And matter of fact, I believe top cop Kamala Harris said she's not going to do anything specifically for black people. But if you go on Joe Biden's website, he's going to do specifically things for the Jewish community and the Catholic community and the East Indian community. The the black bootlicks, the class of the white media flunkies, mouthpieces and suck-ups have been invalidated. They're now demonstrated black people, those mostly under 50, don't listen to them. They've been forced to talk like the black media if they wanted to be taken serious. But I know, family, we aren't fooled. I know who you guys listen to. And I'm going to show you just in case you guys do not know. Just in case you guys do not know. People of color, minorities, and other officially verboten when talking about us, they're still trying to trick bag language. Have you noticed that? But we're on code. See, family, we have to understand that what are minorities? What are people of color? New Mexico became the first state to elect an all-female congressional delegation, and they're also women of color. So are Foundation Black Americans people of color? See, when they speak like this, you have to understand the difference in who is being supported. If you go to Joe Biden's website, if you go to Donald Trump's platinum plan, you're going to see the word people of color. You're going to see the word minorities. So if a plan is simply and solely for Black Americans, then why do I see the word minorities and people of color when it comes to tangibles? That's because there aren't no tangibles. Not for us. We are the third in population in this country. Hispanic population, the Latino population has been rising significantly. Now decreased somewhat under Donald Trump. I want you to see how I believe that the Latino population is going to rise to at least 20% in the 4 years that's under Joe Biden. And that is to undermine the black vote. Because as we get more people on the black agenda, on black code for foundational Black Americans, those American Descendant of Slaves, you're going to start to see the coon class coming in waves from the Caribbean, from Africa, from the European continent, from Mexico. If the right-wing Democrats win, and they will, the last thing Biden really wants is Democrat control of the Senate. Can I say that, family? The last thing that Biden wants is Democrat control of the Senate. And your question is why? Biden should want the Senate. He should want the House. That's not the strategy. It's the same strategy that Barack Obama did when he was in office. But see, what people don't remember is that the first 2 years, 2008 to 2010, the Democrats held the presidency, the Senate, and the House. So you ask why Joe Biden wants to lose the Senate? Because Republican control of the Senate will provide the political cover they need for the neoliberals' agenda they are committed to advancing, and all the while undermine Black people and say, well, we didn't own the Senate, so we couldn't get nothing passed. You guys really need to know the power of executive orders and earmarks. Lots of angry white supremacists, Trump supporters. They're going to show up at vote counting locations that they've been doing. How about some of you brown people and white LGBT people out there get us some good old trouble this time? Because, these minority classes, these people of colors, these immigrants have been riding the coattails of foundational Black Americans as we've been fighting against white supremacy, as we've been speaking against white supremacy, as we've been calling it out. But about this election, the GOP, aka Republicans, has gained seats in the House and stopped the Democrats from gaining any seats in the Senate. This while Trump seems poised to lose to Biden. So Trump's racism helped make race a major issue again. What might his losing mean? That is the question. If you're going to claim credit for being part of the Black support to get Biden elected, then you will bear all the blame from his policies that target and undermine and kill Black people. See, as Black people, it's not our job to save America from itself. But I keep hearing saying, as America, we all got to be in it together. Have you noticed we've never been in this together, family? We've always been on our own. Why do people keep saying this? When have we ever been arm in arm? I'm not saying all white people are white supremacists and racists. I'm not saying that. But we have to understand that they are heavy. There's a large population. There's a system that needs to be supported by these white supremacists. As Black people, it's not our job to save America. We're not supposed to be the martyrs. We are not supposed to martyr ourselves so all these other groups who attack us as much as the dominant society can catch your break. I wonder if you ever been racially profiled by an Asian person and then told that same Asian person, we're supposed to be in this together. I know some good Asian people, and I know a lot of racist Asian people. I've been to Korea, I've been to China, and they have racism against Black people there. They accept white people before they ever would a Black person. You don't fight white supremacy with a twerk off. See, I'm not waiting for my politician friends to give me permission to speak about it. You can't just try to hijack the movement by writing Black Lives Matter on the ground. See, we over here bussy bopping and throwing out bussies in a circle. I saw the other day, about a week ago, while people was beginning to vote. I don't recall what state it was in, family, my apologies, but nonetheless, there was a gentleman, a Black gentleman, and some Black ladies. They were standing in the voting line, and music was playing, and they were dancing, and he was just bouncing and twirling, and the Black women were doing the electric fucking slide. right there at the voting booth. I'm like, where's the party? Where's the president? What are you getting for your vote? Why the hell are we dancing? Go ahead and wear "I voted" sticker on your fucking chest. What does that mean? You voted, now what? What are you getting? Well, we got Trump out of office and oh man. So you're saying the Democrats cannot help the black candidates. Stacey Abrams. See, Stacey Abrams did not win in Georgia, but she helped the Democrats win the presidency. So she shouldn't win, but they couldn't help her out by collecting the non-white voters to support the white presidential candidacy. And this is how the game goes, guys. This is the way it works. They get benefits and we get all the work. See, I've talked to my friends who are in their 50s and 60s, and it's your civic duty. Our ancestors died for our ancestors didn't die for shit. They died for you and fought for you to have the same rights as every other citizen in America. That's what they fought and died for. But with that freedom, there's an exercise that you can be part of or not even play the game. You see what I'm saying, family? Some people are like, oh, well, you have a civic duty. You have an ancestry duty in honor of them. I'm honoring my ancestors. What about you? Because if Malcolm X was here today, if Marcus Garvey was here today, and even Martin Luther King in his latter days understood that he was a part of Black nationalism and what that actually stood for. You want to know why only dumb Black people let politicians fool you into thinking people of color includes Black folks? This picture right here is a perfect example. No more supporting people of color, minorities, or immigrants or disadvantaged groups. If you don't specifically say Black, it is not for us. There were Black male and Black females who voted for Trump in larger numbers in 2016 than this year. And yet the media keeps focusing on Black men. See, they understood even in slavery to divide the Black man from his family and his wife and his women. Divide and conquer, they said. But have you noticed, family, they don't do this to Latinos and Asians. Have you noticed that? They don't split them against themselves. And the way the Democratic Party works and the Republicans, they use Black faces. They use Black Democratic shields. They use Black puppets while they are the puppet masters. Just last week, Joe Biden said that the LGBTQ community rights are going to be his top priority on day one in office. He has made no similar promises for the people who gave his party the most support during this election, which are Black voters. Family, let me indulge you for a second here. Give me 1 second, family. Have you guys ever seen this website? This is called FBAtimes.com. Foundational Black American Times. This is where you're going to get the news, the actual news that really relates to our people, that really concerns our people. These are the things that are not publicly being reported. And I will have for you guys to hit the donate. This is not my website, but I support it. Because there's a lot of things that's going on in America that we simply do not know. Some of the top stories that you're going to see here, family. White Louisiana officer who brutalized innocent Black man has a history of racial abuse accusations. Minnesota lawmakers introduced deceptive reparation proposal that includes Native Americans. Now, last time I checked, haven't Native Americans got reparations already and continue to get reparation with stipends, tax-free land, free room and board? If I'm not mistaken, family, I believe that's what it is. If I'm not mistaken. Okay. Family, there's a lot going on today in this world. And I have you guys to take note. These are people of color. Right here. Do you look like them, family? New Mexico became the first state to elect an all-female congressional delegation. They're also women of color. This is women of color. These are women of color. But let's get back on FBA Times. There's a lot of stories for you guys. FBAtimes.com. Elderly suspected white supremacist shot a black man in the back because she thought he was going to steal from her. She thought he was going to steal from her. This is FBAtimes.com. I support this website, but this is not my website. How unpunished anti-black antagonism pushed black people to defend themselves out of fear. White Louisiana officer brutalized innocent black man, has a history of racial abuse. I said that already. Then we have to read this one. Black man in Georgia charged with murder after he stood his ground against alleged white supremacy. This is the code. This is the agenda to call out white supremacy and fight for reparations. Not what we deserve, family, but what we are owed. And this little old sweet white lady, AKA white supremacist, shot this brother in the back. And then the racist police station said when they questioned the guy, he said that he was going to steal. And then later the next day, let's just go into this story, family. It's a very interesting story. It's a very interesting story. This is the white supremacist at 88 years of age. An 88-year-old suspected white supremacist female was arrested after she shot an innocent black man in the back because she thought he was going to steal from her Tennessee liquor store. Mae Boyce was charged with aggravated assault and released on $10,000 bond. Family, do you know that bond is only 10%? So she only paid like $1,000? According to Nashville police, because the victim, Raymond Fisher, was innocent of any crime, Mae Boyce used a lot of racially coded language in order to justify this alleged hate crime. Boyce, who owns Montfrey Road Liquor and Wines, told investigators two black men entered her store and walked behind the counter where the vodka was located. She said one of them approached her in a manner that she knew he was going to steal from her. She also claimed that the black men were menacing. This is what some expert racially studies refer to as "I am white and I say so" defense. Boyce continued to create a make-believe scenario of what she thought was going to happen. Boyce said the man was going to try and push her down before heading out the door with bottles under his arm. And the local police, or the thugs in blue, police, seemed to be on the suspected white supremacist code with Boyce. Police made a very questionable claim that they interviewed the victim. Mr. Fisher at the hospital after the alleged racial shooting, and Fisher allegedly told police he intended on stealing the liquor. This sounds highly improbable because it would not make sense for anyone to confess to a crime they didn't commit or get charged for. It would make less sense for someone to confess to a shoplifting they intended to do but didn't go through with it. This is the racism in our country, family. So you're not familiar with this website and you want to know what's going on in these United States of white supremacy, I would definitely make this as one of my favorites. So let me promote some channels that they don't know I'm supporting them, and I don't care because they give us the agenda and they make sure we stay on code. And I'm in support of these brothers. The Black Authority, AKA Jason Black. Go and subscribe to this brother channel. Professor Black Truth, telling exactly how it is. Go and subscribe to this channel so you understand the Black media. Dr. Boyce Watkins, subscribe to this financially intelligent on code B1 brother. Tariq Nasheed, Foundational Black Americans. He is the one who possibly started the news site, but all of these people are in tangent with one another. They're on code with one another. And this brother who gets overlooked, because he's a Caribbean brother, he's on code. TD Hip Hop Media. He's always on code. I like this brother. What Black Americans must focus on if Joe Biden wins, what Black voters should consider before voting. He has a lot of great topics. The African Diaspora Channel with Philip Scott. This is also another great channel on code. And last but not least, my channel, The Black Post, where the message will be sent. I'm not done, family. I'm not done. Let me continue on, though. Let me continue on. Because before I want to end this live cast, I would like to make sure we understand what's going to happen the next 4 years of a Joe Biden, Kamala Harris presidency. It's very important that we know what's going to happen. So I'll leave you with this.
Support reparations for Black people.
Well, listen, again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized.
Give me one second, family. Let me play that again.
Discrimination, segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, Black people have not. And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the LIFT Act. Give people who are making $100,000 or less as a family a tax credit, which will benefit and uplift 60% of Black families who are in poverty.
So by default, it affects Black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you would explore.
But no, if you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit Black children, Black families, Black homeowners, because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities, and we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this: any policy that will benefit Black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No, because whatever benefits that Black family will benefit that community and society as a whole and the country. Right?
Exactly, family. She said no, she will do nothing specifically for Black people, even though she is totally aware of the disparities and marginalization and discrimination and racism in this country against Black people specifically. This is the Black Post. This evening, the message was sent. No matter if you hated it, no matter if you loved it, the message was delivered. You guys have a great evening until the next one. Be one. Foundational Black Americans. I'm out.